Okay, so we're doing a podcast today with Dr. Anamaria Ryan, Dr. Anamaria Ryan, my dearest friend. And this is the traveling therapist. This is Yalily Smith, and we're going to be talking about relationships. And I was just telling her the last 10 years, we've seen this massive shift in everything about relationships, everything from the way that people court each other and like initiate the connection to the way that they approach relationships once they're in the relationship. Men and women have changed re- significantly in the way that they treat each other and the way they go about having a relationship. So, um, Dr. Ana Maria actually had her dissertation on a very interesting aspect of this change, and that was on ghosting, right? Can
Correct.
you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. It's such a pleasure to be doing this podcast with you. So basically, I've been a therapist for the past 15 years, and in my journey as a therapist, of course, I have dealt with many people that are either in relationships, getting out of relationships. So that's one of the hot topics that we discuss in therapy. You probably know this because you are a
Yeah.
therapist yourself. And I recall this one person who, I'm just going to tell you, beautiful person, in and out, mid 30s. She had all the boxes checked in terms of looks, intelligence, everything. She was just everything, right? And then she was telling me, I cannot believe every time I go on a date, the guy just disappears. And locally, I was just like, well, maybe it's just the men that are here in this area. I don't know really what's going on. But anyway, she connected with this person and they were basically dating for 3, 4 months. Like they were just meeting regularly. And one day he was supposed to come to her house and he said to her, you know what? Why don't you just go ahead and make a special dinner? I'll be there. It was a Friday. She did. She cooked dinner. Here comes 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. The man never showed up,
Unbelievable.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm talking to you about a relationship that had already been established, like they were just
Uh-huh.
dating. And she was so uh, shocked by this. She was like, okay, what do I do? Let me call him. Went straight to voicemail. Let me text him. No answer. What do I do next? Do I call hospitals? Do I call the morgue? Did something happen? Should I call the family? She just went to bed and she's like, I'll wait. We'll see what happens. Well, sure enough, he started posting on his Instagram the next day and she was like, oh my God, what happened? So basically, when she came to me, I was like, well, did you ever try to talk to him? And she's like, you know what? Don't bother. Like, to me, it was clear as day that he was ghosting me. And I just couldn't believe, Yalily, that this had happened because to me, it's like, you didn't get any closure. This is crazy. And she's like, oh, no, like, this is what happens. And I was like, no, we cannot just take it and just.
Right?
So that's what started my idea with this dissertation and my doctor's degree. I was like, how is this ghosting behavior affecting people's self-esteem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that mainly was my focus of attention for my study. Mhm.
I actually have a patient now who he has been actively trying to find someone online, which seems to be one of the main areas, like to find a partner these days. He's been actively trying. His standards are actually excellent. He's not just looking for a hookup. He's a pretty good candidate overall, but that's the thing. Like he'll get a message, they'll talk for 2, 3 days, and then the person will just start like detaching and like slowly closing that gap, and eventually they disappear and they ghost.
Right.
And he tells me all the time, he's like, it is so depressing because no matter what, you want to start creating some sort of an attachment to this person because you want to move forward with the process.
Yeah, and I think you're touching on a couple of things that are very interesting. As a matter of fact, looking into the research and the data and all the stuff that I was working on. One of the things is you're correct. The way people connect these days is mainly through dating apps, which brings up the whole question mark about what are we doing relating to one another with this hookup culture, because it's all about that, right? Like, let's just have a good time. Let's not have any kind of
Mhm.
responsibilities with one another. I think a long time ago, people used to go like, until the wheel falls off, that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna be together until the end, right?
Mhm.
That doesn't happen anymore because people don't want that kind of interaction and relationships. They just want to have a good time, and that's it. Like they don't want the responsibility. So yes, hookup culture, dating through
Mhm.
apps, and the fact that when you have apps, you have options, right? So it's like a menu. And
Oh
so
my
if
gosh,
this one
yes.
doesn't work, then I'm just gonna swipe left, and okay, I'm just gonna stop talking to this one because this one I like better. People go out with different options at the
Mhm.
same time. So I think that that's what's really creating a problem when we're connecting and relating to one another.
Yeah.
Furthermore, one time, younger client in her mid 20s, right? She was like, I cannot believe what happened. We were at the bar and this guy walked up to me and asked me for my phone number. How creepy is that? And I was like, okay, well,
Oh,
I'm in my mid 40s. And I was just like, back in the day, that's the way
this is
people
how you
used to.
do it.
It was normal. It was not, you would tell someone back then, I met someone online, oh my God, be careful. What's wrong with you? It's
Yes.
psycho. Don't do that. That's so weird. And now I guess just interacting with the person in real life, in real time, seems
Yeah.
creepy to a lot of younger people. Yeah.
So let's dive into that because I think I mean you are on it, like right there. So here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that we're sending all kinds of mixed signals from the get-go. So literally from the moment you get inside your head the idea that you want to date somebody, you already start sending mixed signals because internally we're telling ourselves, I really want to be in a relationship. I really want to find a partner. Simultaneously, we're battling with all these social stigmas and all these social pressures and all these social expectations that say, well, if you're a woman and you're looking for a man, then you're not strong enough. And if you're a woman and you're looking for a partner, then you're desperate. And so and then with men, it's like, well, if you're a man and you're looking for a woman, it must be a hookup. You must not really be looking for a real relationship. If you're a man and you go to the bar looking for a woman, then you're just going for that barfly. And so or like real it's yeah, like, you're never going to find the right woman in a bar. You're never going to find the right woman, like, unless somehow miraculously this woman appears at the grocery store, like, trad female, like, like buying Whole Foods. Like, it's
Right.
like, no, you can find a good woman at a bar who just happens to be there hanging out with girlfriends or just even having a drink, whatever. But there's all these weird social stigmas around dating where
Yes,
it's like, oh, the landscape is like a minefield.
it is. It is. You're correct.
So you start with that in your head, and then you start the process of looking, but you have the stigma in your mind. So you have these weird mixed signals of like, yes, I'm looking for somebody, but not this, not this, not this, not this way, not that way. Then you have the opportunity to meet that person, and you send mixed signals there, and it keeps going from there.
Well, if you think about it, the algorithms from the dating apps are meant to create that kind of mixed signal situation. Because, yes, on the one hand, you can go ahead and fill out um, what am I looking for? What are my likes? And supposedly you get matched with someone that is kind of like a person that it's into the same kind of thing that you are. Even
Right.
some of those apps ask you for your zodiac sign if that's important to you. So they pair you up apparently with people who are
Mhm.
compatible with you. But then there's the whole thing about the pictures, right? And there's the whole thing
Right.
about, okay, well, we're gonna meet for a drink and dinner. But is it really drink and dinner, or are we what are we doing afterwards? And then it's all downhill from there. I just
Right.
feel that we're lacking in terms of communication, and very importantly, again, going back to my research study, we're lacking in terms of what are we looking for? You know, are we looking for love from a place of fear, from a place of
Amen.
abandonment, thirst,
Preach.
or are we looking for love from a place of, okay, I got this to give to someone else, but I love myself first and I am
Yes.
ready to do this. So I think the more experiences we have and the more experiences we gather, we get hurt. We end up with all this baggage. And then what do?
Hmm.
We throw that into someone else and we end up
Hmm.
hurting someone else. So I think that that's another problem. So communication and the fact that
Hmm.
people don't come from a place of self love or security.
Genuineness too.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. Being genuine about I honestly am trying to find a real partner. Like I'm honestly trying to find a long-term partner or somebody that I can care for genuinely rather than that instant gratification or like you said the hookup. Um because anything for human beings, anything that gives you instant gratification doesn't last very long because, you know, you get you receive the pleasure of it
Your dopamine
and
rush, yes.
immediately immediately once that dopamine has been released, it will never compare to the same as it was the first time. It will not. Every single time the rush will be less and less and less. And as a matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why people go from, oh, I'm going to spend maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks on an app looking for a partner, and then I'm going to find that person, to I spend months on and off talking to dozens of people. And then I find somebody who entertains me for a little while, and then I come back to the app, and then I'm right back to dozens of people. And, like that constant, like having to look for more of the rush.
Is that any different than maybe getting likes on your social media and feeling that happiness that someone is following you, that someone gave you a like, or is it different than finding that dopamine rush through scrolling down TikTok and
Absolutely.
watching all these videos? I had someone who I was dealing with, and she was telling me, but it's all good stuff. It's all positive. It's all puppies and kittens and positive. And I'm like,
Uh,
girl, it doesn't matter. Like it is, they got you hooked. They got your attention.
yep.
You're giving your dopamine to this app. So I think you're right on spot with that. I think that the hookup culture and the let me just go ahead and see who liked me.
Mhm.
Oh my God, this girl is hotter
Mhm.
than the other girl, and like, it's all about that instant gratification. But how do
Mhm.
we go back to connecting in a genuine way? That's a big question that I have. I don't know what this is gonna look like in the
I
future.
think I think that everything in culture goes full circle. So the first thing that I would say we need to start doing is defining what dating really is. I think we need to redefine dating, or I think we need to go back and review what dating was and figure out, okay, are we still okay with that? What do we need to change? But let's figure it out. Let's figure out what the term dating means, because most of the time you have these ambiguous relationships, and inevitably one of the two people have no idea what the heck is happening in it. Like,
Have you? This is true. Have you heard of the term situationship?
yes. And we keep giving these random labels.
But
Yes.
that's what I say happening. It's not, we don't know what's going on. We've been seeing each other
Nope.
for a while. We are having sexual intimacy and other aspects of intimacy as well. But what are we? What is this? So I
Exactly.
guess a lot of people call it situationship. That's what it is. We're in the situationship. Or um,
Right.
okay, but you were saying that you think that we come full circle. So you have
Yeah.
faith that in the future we're going to
I,
be able to
I think
reconnect in a genuine way.
I think if we don't, society as we know is going to collapse. I mean, when you think about the fact that already the birth rate in most civilized world, in most third world countries or even second world countries is practically nil. Um, there's Eastern, like Asian countries where they're paying people to move there
Italy is
so
paying
that
for
they,
people to.
Japan, who they are literally throwing their people onto these newcomers that are coming in because it's like, please help us like sustain our population because the birth rate is like nothing.
Mm,
You have ageism is sorry, you have the elder population, the geriatric population is increasing at an just insane pace, while at the same time the birth rate is practically nothing. So I think if we want to survive as a species, as a society, we have to figure out what the heck went wrong and start working towards fixing it.
I think it's perhaps our interaction with technology. I love technology, couldn't live without it. I'm a huge fan of it. But like I feel like at this moment we are lacking in many things that make us human because we interact so much with technology. So my thought
Yeah.
is that if you are invested in your social media, your phone, whatever it is, for a long time, that's going to create some sort of selfishness. Like it's all going to be about you. You don't want to make any
Yes.
kind of sacrifices or commitments to anyone else. And that probably explains why people don't want relationships. They don't want children. They don't want anything that entails um, work. And that
Yeah.
translates into the workplace as well. I don't know if you have noticed that, but as it
Oh yeah.
happens with ghosting, we have silent quitting and silent
Yep.
firing in the workplaces. So I think it's this interaction with technology that maybe is separating us from our essence as humans, and again, lacking communication, lacking how to connect with one another in realness, right?
I was talking to my daughter. So Victoria is like she just turned 11, but we have these types of conversations that really you would think that, we're two old people just talking life. And I was telling her, I said, baby, I think that we're going backwards. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, we practically speak in hieroglyphics at this point. It's like the written language is gone. It's gone. Like now we're
Yeah,
emojis. Everything is an emoji. So so I feel like when you talk about technology, that's exactly and communication and technology, that's exactly the thing is so technology came into our lives. I remember being 15 and having my first, having the first computer when I was like 10 or so. And like, I was like, okay, this is so awesome, blah, blah, blah. And then I blinked. I blinked and we were 2024. And literally, there's microchips in our brains that can read our thoughts and that can get us to move our bodies who were previously like in wheelchair bound. Um, and it's I, human beings don't do well with sudden change. We like a little bit of consistency. Like there has to be like a settling process where people can acclimate to the change and then keep moving. But I think technology came in and just swooped right in, and none of us were prepared for the speed. And it's only getting faster.
yeah,
And it has bled into how we interact with each other as humans, because now we don't have to interact with each other in a human type of
right,
way. We don't have to be polite with each other.
right.
You can go on a public platform and degrade a person that you
Yes,
don't even have a relationship with, or one that you do, and feel absolutely no fear that you're gonna be like confronted by that person, because you could just be an anonymous person in a
and
public
troll anyone.
platform trolling them. So I think the speed of technology really has made us just the way we've adapted to technology is it's in so many ways like really unhealthy because we've allowed technology to take over all of the things that we don't like.
Yes, and I'm going to piggyback on what you just said. I feel that we still, as human beings, crave interaction. We still crave attachment, and attachment in the sense of this is what evolution did for us. We need to be connected to one another to survive. So,
Yes.
like what you were saying earlier, if we don't learn how to connect with one another genuinely, we're doomed as a species.
Yes.
But anyway, so going back to the research that I did, I also wanted to mention that sometimes people react to ghosting or being ghosted in a positive way, depending on their beliefs. So if I have a belief
Right.
that, okay, everything happens for a reason, it's going to be okay, maybe this wasn't meant for me, I got to keep on going with my life, that strengthens your self esteem and it pushes you forward to continue with your
Mhm.
life. So you don't get stuck in the, oh, that person rejected me. Oh my God, I can't believe this happened to me. And that really
Right.
makes a difference. So some people have that capacity to just get over it because of their beliefs, and some other people don't. They get like stuck in that kind of a situation, which causes people to ghost others. So they go like, okay, it happened to me. No, for real. It's like it happened to me, so I'm just
Oh,
gonna go ahead and do it to someone else because everybody's doing it. So why shouldn't I
that's
just go
terrible.
ahead and do it? I know, but yeah.
I actually did a podcast with Stephanie, our clinic manager, on how beliefs can shape our resilience. And
Mhm.
that is one thing I have found in mental health is that those individuals who lack strong faith in something, strong belief, strong conviction in something bigger than themselves, something higher than themselves, significantly like they have a significantly less ability to cope and to manage painful situations. Their resilience is way less than those that do. And I saw that in hospice, and I talked about that too um, in the podcast. There are, and I swear I will stand by this to my dying day. There are no atheists in hospice. I promise you that. Come end of your life, when you are down to the last breath,
Yeah, yeah.
and I promise you, you're looking for something to believe in. I promise you. You, you could have been some billionaire who had everything going for you, who never had to say a single prayer or a thought to a higher being in your entire life, and life was great. But the moment that you see yourself just about to go, you will be reaching for something bigger than yourself, something higher than yourself. And I think that that's people who have some sort of belief, they are more resilient. They truly can overcome things easier. And so when it comes to couples, when it comes to relationships, one of the things that I find when in the idea of belief and having something that you rely on that gives you purpose or that gives you guidance, um, I think finding a person that complements you in that.
Yes, but not only find a person that complements you in your purpose, but having a sense of purpose yourself. I think I have noticed that a lot with folks
Oh,
lately. It's that
yes.
there is a lack of sense of purpose. Like we don't know what are we doing here. What is? I ask this question to people, not even in session, just people that I know personally. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? And believe me, I believe in mindfulness 100%. But like this is a question that sometimes I ask people, and they go like, "Oh, I don't know. I really don't know. What makes you happy? Oh, I don't know. Or why would you? People really don't know. They don't know about their purpose.
Mhm.
And so maybe that's a reason why we're not connecting too, because we don't even know what we're doing here or what's up, right?
Well, what are you looking for if you don't know what your purpose is or what your beliefs are, what drives you, what makes you happy? How can you find the right partner that way?
You don't. You're blindly just and aimlessly trying to reach for whatever fulfills your needs at the moment and then move on to the next.
It becomes a very shallow exercise and connection, very shallow.
Well,
So
I'm sorry, but
go
here's another thing that I just wanted to mention.
go
Sorry, I
ahead.
didn't mean to interrupt you. But so in terms of courtship, right? Like before, I'm talking about long time ago. Like you probably
Yeah.
would have someone bring you flowers or someone
Yes.
trying to connect with you intellectually first to try to connect in other ways, right? Um,
Hmm.
Now, I think because of the easy access we have to pornography, everything has turned out to be sexual. It's hypersexual. So it doesn't matter if in your profile, your Hinge profile or Bumble, let's not even talk about Tinder because that's supposedly for hookups, right? But like, let's
Yeah.
say you have a profile on Bumble and it's like the sweetest profile. I don't want any intimacy with anybody for the first 6 months. I'm a spiritual person, blah, blah, blah. That person that is going to be reaching out to you is going to be like, no, but they're on Bumble. So that means that they're probably looking for something else, right? So inevitably, my friend, you're gonna end up with the unwanted dick pic, which I don't understand why men. No, seriously, I think there's something very primal about this situation because it, what is so appealing for a woman to watch a
Yeah.
man's? If I'm not
Yeah.
asking for it, if I'm not asking for it, why are you sending this to me, right? Like, and
Oh
people,
my,
I
so
think
true.
nothing against. No, but I mean, some guys, I'm not saying every guy, but I'm saying a lot of guys, that's the courtship. Like, let me show you what I got that I can make you happy with because you
Yes.
must be wanting this. Here's another one, and I'm sorry for being so graphic. I don't know if you have to
No,
bleep this or whatever, but this is
no, we're
crazy to me.
not. No, we're
So
not.
the courtship, right? Like, so let's say that you're in those terms with the person, and you're like, okay, well, maybe we can get together, and I think I like you, blah blah blah, and you get into the sexual intimacy aspect of things. There are so many misconceptions about that. Like, for example, do you squirt, sir? Let me tell you, this is something that pornography has made mainstream, that
Yes.
there's so much
Yes.
expectation about what it is. It's
Oh my
associated with
goodness. Yeah.
females reaching climax, which is not the case.
Not.
But what I'm trying to say is that with the shallowness of the courtship, I think that porn has a lot to do with that because there is
Yeah.
this expectation that, okay, now everybody's doing it with everybody. Let me just go ahead and ask this person if she's interested or he's interested in doing a three-way or a four-way or whatever.
Right.
So I guess that that's more acceptable these days. And nothing against the people that are open-minded like that, but it gets on the way when you're trying to truly connect with someone. Most definitely.
Yes.
So yeah.
I well, I know what you're saying is, yes, very bold, but it's very true. Pornography, and again, back to technology, the easy access to pornography has added that extra layer of just, I would say, unrealistic expectations.
Correct.
Women do not handle unrealistic expectations well. We clam up, we feel attacked, we feel uncomfortable, we feel rejected, we feel, like, I can tell you in my own life, my first partner had some very, very unrealistic expectations. And I'm not even going to lie, I fed into it because I was like, we're just flirting. This is this is a couple, two people kind of flirting with each other, and yes, this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen. And we were waiting for marriage. And when we got married, it was like, yeah, but you told me all these things were gonna happen and all these things were true. And it was like, well, we were flirting, and it was like, no, 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 no. This was supposed to happen. Like, this was the way it was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be, and if
Mm-hmm.
not, then the consequences are you're not a good partner, you're a liar, and you used me and you manipulated me. And then I know my reaction immediately to feeling that amount of pressure was, I'm not interested in being intimate with you. I'm not interested in, like, I don't feel a connection with you because I know what you expect of me, and the pressure is insane, and I don't feel comfortable. And most of that comes from pornography.
Mm,
Like, what you
yeah.
see in pornography is no different than what we see in an action movie. Am I gonna go to my guy and expect him to freaking do Fast and the Furious with his
Well,
car?
but you know what? I think that a lot of men, and I'm not a man, I don't know this to be true, but I think a lot of men must feel that pressure as well. Like for some reason,
Oh,
they feel like they have to be aroused for 4 hours and they have to perform in this great way and they have to please the woman. And the woman has to look in a certain way or act in a certain way to look like she's pleased. So anyway,
yes.
just the easy access to pornography, I think, has been completely detrimental to connecting. And then again, going back to the instant gratification, wanting the honey that stems from a relationship, but not wanting the bitterness that you have to deal with sometimes because we're human, right? So if I make a
Yeah.
commitment with you, I have to accept you as you are with all of your shades and all of your colors and
Yeah.
all of your flavors. And whoa, wait a minute. I think you're being too toxic right now. That's one thing that I've noticed too. A lot of people use that word, and we got to be careful with pop psychology, toxicity.
Oh my
What's
goodness,
the
yes.
you're a narcissist now?
Oh
Everybody's a
my,
narcissist.
everybody's a
Uh,
narcissist.
but if I try to set some boundaries, or if I try to communicate with you, then all of a sudden I'm being a narcissist or I'm toxic, right? So okay, we're not gonna do this anymore because you're asking for too much. Um, I'll,
Or for the female, you're bipolar. You're
that
borderline,
too.
you're bipolar,
You're crazy.
you're crazy. And you know what? Going back to the expectations on men, you
Mm,
know what I think about? So for women, it's because of porn. For men, it's because of rom-coms and these like cheap
yeah,
romantic movies
yeah, yeah.
and the all the books, like romantic books and things like that. Like
Well, I mean, if you want to
that's
take it,
women porn.
if you want
That's
to
porn for women.
True, but if you want to take it a little further, it's all about programming because we can go with stories that have been there since the Grimm brothers times, like the princess, right, that needs to be rescued
Yes.
by the prince.
Yes.
So there is this stereotype of men that really doesn't exist that we're expecting. And then
Mhm.
there is this stereotype of women that they're expecting
Mhm.
that really doesn't exist.
Mhm.
But that is beyond, I think, technology. I think this is more like social programming and believing the things that
Mhm.
we're fed.
Mhm. I
Um,
think so. I think that all of us are creatures of just habitual practice. So when, we start with our parents, obviously, we're
mhm.
going to copy them and we're going to learn our habits from them and we're going to learn by repetition, by watching repeatedly how they interact with them with each other and how they interact with other with other family members and things like that. Then we take it to friends, then we take it to first boyfriend or girlfriend, and then we go on and,
So on and so forth.
forward. Exactly, and what we're mimicking and what we're copying, the habits that we're picking up and when it comes to relationships are coming from people who are just as lost as we are, and the messages are just as confusing because you have 30-something-year-old women nowadays going on social media talking about how they cannot get a date with a decent guy who won't ghost them. But at the same time, these are the 30-year-old women that are going to that guy who asked for their number and saying, "Ew, you're a creep." Like, no, I'm not going to give you my number. So like we're picking up habits and we're repeating habits from people that have no idea, we have no idea, and then we're teaching our children from a point of view of cluelessness as well. We don't know how to label what a relationship is like. We don't know how to communicate with the opposite sex. And there is a different language.
Hmm.
To communicate with the opposite sex, you have to understand they do not speak our language. I don't care what anybody says,
That's true.
flat
I mean, it's
out,
hormonal, it's chemical.
there is no male, no biologically born male that is ever going to truly understand what a woman thinks. Now, you can be. somebody who is trying to understand, and I think that's part of the problem that we're having is that men are trying to think like a woman, and it's like, stop that. It's never going to happen. And women are trying to think more masculine because they feel like they have to overcome for all this femininity that's coming our way. But like, it's we don't know how to communicate with each other in a way that we can understand each other properly. We don't know how to label our relationships anymore. We don't even want to label our relationships anymore
Hmm. We don't
because
want a
it's too much
relationship,
commitment.
right?
Because it's too much commitment. Relationships in general is too much commitment.
Hmm.
And and then we're passing that on to our next generations and calling it culture and calling it education.
So it is necessary, I think, what I hear you say, that we all work in doing self-healing processes so that we don't pass this along to the next generation and we don't just bring that to someone else in different relationships. I think that's what I heard you say, and I
I
think I
think
kind of, yeah.
y- yes. Also, I think we need to stop lying to ourselves, and telling ourselves that we don't need somebody, that we don't need to have a family, that we don't need to have a partner, that we don't need, that we can do bad all by ourselves. Like I'm a boss babe and I can handle everything. Trust me, I am a boss babe. Literally. I literally own the company. And I can tell you wholeheartedly that I came from that mentality of I don't need anybody. I don't need a man. I'm the man in my life. And then I met the right person and I almost lost him because of that mentality. And I had to do a huge amount of soul searching and be very honest with myself and trust that just because I can admit that I do want and need a partner in my life, the right partner in my life, doesn't make me less of a boss. It doesn't make me a less effective CEO or a less effective woman just because I need that person that's going to compliment me and that's going to support me and that's going to lift me up. And I think we need to stop lying to ourselves about this idea that we don't need other people,
Well,
period.
perhaps the reason why people do that is because they want to survive and they have been vulnerable and hurt before. They're just trying to empower themselves and go like, I don't need anybody. I can do it by myself. Which I get, I can see the value of that too. But I think that in terms of healing, we have to reach a
Mhm.
point when we're open to say, okay, well, it's like you said, it's okay to connect with someone. It's okay to be vulnerable with the right person, right?
Yes.
And family it's still the foundation of society. I think I can't remember who said that, but this must have been like 2 centuries ago or longer than that. I don't know. But it continues to be true. Family is the foundation of society. And if we don't have communication, if we cannot connect, we're not going to be able to raise the children or the young in the
Mhm.
correct way. There's not going to be young because we don't
Yeah,
want to connect with one
we're not gonna have a
another.
civilization to go back to.
So yeah, I think that everything, what it boils down to, and going back to my research study, is coming from a place of love within yourself,
Yes.
healing within yourself, and not looking in desperation to fulfill
Mhm.
something, whether that is
Yes.
instant gratification or feeling a void. A lot of people have told me, I feel alone. So let me just go ahead
Mhm.
and get on Tinder because I feel alone. And that way, you're not going to be the right person. And that way, you're not going to connect with someone because you're looking to fulfill something that is a void within yourself. So I think that mainly that's an issue. What you were talking about in terms of believing in something higher than you, I think that that's
Yes.
super important as well. Um, so yeah. And by the way, something that I didn't say earlier, I just think
Mm.
how interesting is that we don't call a relationship, but there are at least 15 different types of ghosting. So, and new terms,
Are you
seriously.
serious?
No, I'm
Oh my
serious.
gosh.
I'm serious. There is breadcrumbing, there is zombieing, there is benching, orbiting, and those are a few that
Oh
I
my
just can't remember on top of
gosh.
my head. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're
We
coming
need
with
a
new terms.
dictionary.
Yes, we're coming up with new terms for ghosting. But guess what? We cannot even call a relationship. Or I cannot call you my
Right.
girlfriend or my boyfriend or whatever you are because it's a situationship, right? Like, so
Yeah.
that's interesting to me.
And then on my end, I would say don't try to communicate with the opposite sex in the way that you would communicate with, so like for example, if you're looking for a boyfriend and you're trying to share your feelings with that guy that you just met, that you've been trying to date, hopefully there is at least some sort of a label there. um don't try to communicate with them the way that you, like, through the female lens. Try to communicate with them in a way that they're going to understand. And the simplest way to put it is remove some of the emotion, remove a little bit of the emotion, communicate clearly, express yourself clearly, and have some follow through. And then for men, don't try to over, like, emphasize the empathy and the, I don't need for you to literally put on a pair of heels and go marching down the street and say, walk a mile in her shoes. I don't need you to do that. What I need you to do is not try to fix everything. Take a moment to listen, and if you don't understand what I'm saying, maybe ask some questions. And, and ask a little bit of clarification, but don't jump immediately to, "Oh, I got this." And don't jump to conclusions, and just give us a chance to, like, let it out. Sometimes we just need to process our feelings. So my suggestion, we have self-healing, we have look for your higher purpose. We have be honest with yourself about what you really believe in, what you need. And then when you're communicating with the person in your life, or the person that you want to have in your life, try not to send mixed signals. Try to be clear about your expectations and what you're needing, and remove a little bit of the backlog
Noise.
from it.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, the back noise from it. Um, and I think that would be at least the initial steps that might be helpful to a healthy relationship.
And we didn't even have the time to talk about relationships that are with people from the same gender or LGBTQ
That's
plus
right.
communities. I will tell you that I included a moderator variable in my study that was about gender. Another one was about age. So I included a few things. And it is interesting how it doesn't matter. You could be gay, you could be lesbian, and people are not connecting. People are being
Mhm.
ghosted. People are having the same kind of issues establishing a relationship.
The
Uh,
patient
the
the patient that I was talking about, he's gay.
There you go.
And he's being ghosted by other men. He identifies as a male, and he's looking for a male, and he's being ghosted by other men.
And
Yeah.
by the way, just saying this, I'm sure that you probably are going to say it at some point, but if the audience is listening and wondering that we're talking about client or patient, we're not identifying anyone, so it's totally
No.
okay to do that. It's no different than reading a self-help book where you go like, there's this client, but there's really no way to identify. So we're doing it right.
Yes.
Um,
Your privacy is safe with us, I promise.
and so in terms of the results of the study, I wanted to share with you that yes, it was the results of my study showed that ghosting is something that still affects people's self-esteem. And
Mm.
in terms of the demographics, it was interesting because I got people representing different ages, ethnicities, etc. And we established that females in their ranging 20s to early 40s are the ones that are more impacted in self-esteem by ghosting.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure, of course. Did you find which gender does more of the ghosting than the other?
I think that's something that it is in the study. Yes, I don't know the answer to that question right this moment because I would have to go back and look at it. I had 8 different variables, and so it was a
Mhm.
lot of work. But yes,
Yeah.
we had that. I what I found is that okay, so there was one of the questions was, have you ghosted people? Have you been ghosted? Have you experienced both? Have you been ghosted and ghosted someone else?
Mhm.
The ghosters were like 3% of the participants. So it was really hard to establish any kind of anything because there were not a lot of ghosters. And
They didn't admit it.
exactly, that's exactly true because people feel guilty, like, oh my God, did I do something shitty? I'm sorry for using that word. Did I do something
Which you
bad? Did I
did.
do?
Yes, you coward.
So yeah, sorry that I'm I'm a very bold person, like you pointed out. So, but yeah, the thing is that interestingly enough, the people who have ghosted only probably don't have the guts to admit it. And in a previous study that I found when I was doing my literature review, actually men tend to ghost women more. But that's not my study. It's someone else's study that I kind of like was reading.
Okay. All right. So, in conclusion,
Yes,
we did our best to talk about relationships, but this is such an in-depth topic that we're going to have to do several podcasts about it. But I love the fact that we have your study to fall back on and to review, and I hope that our discussion gave you a little bit of enlightenment, and I look forward to us continuing to talk about it, and maybe in future podcasts we can actually start narrowing down more of, okay, what can a person look for, some of the red flags, some of the green flags, some personally personal red flags, personal green flags, and then on the other person that they're talking to, so they can hopefully have a few tools in their toolbox when they're looking for the person. Doesn't mean that it's going to be a perfect match, doesn't mean that you're not going to get caught in it and somebody's going to trick you, because there are people that are very charismatic, but and they make you believe that everything's great and that they're perfect in every way and they check all the boxes. But we can talk about some of the things to look for, even some of the things to look for in people like that, in highly charismatic individuals, because there's flaws there. There's flaws that you can tell, but you have to know what you're looking for to be able to find it. So, Dr. Anamaria Ryan, thank you so, so, so much for joining me. I had a wonderful time as always. And
thank you.
I I hope that we can do this again. Um, and you have an awesome day, and everybody have an awesome day, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Jalili.
Bye.